Hey guys, it's Pete from Pete from Anxiety here. Welcome into today's episode. I appreciate y'all being here so much. Let's talk about a few things real quick. The Pete vs. Anxiety Team Anxiety Facebook group. Are you a part of it? You're not? What are you waiting for? The link's down here in the description down below, or go to Facebook and search Pete vs. Anxiety. Then look for the Team Anxiety team page and join it today. Why not? You can join and help. It'll be great. Yeah, like right now. Hurry up. Stop what you're doing. Pause this video. Go do it right now. But anyways, let's also talk about the Pete vs. Anxiety YouTube page. If you're here right now, you're probably following it most likely. If not, head on over there, subscribe, be sure to like and comment on the videos and let me know, because all that stuff really helps, guys. I really appreciate it. And help me break the stigma that mental health is talked about enough. But anyways, guys, let's get in today's episode. I'll have a great one. Thank you so much again. And as I always say, don't ask how your day is, ask how your mental health is today. Guys, welcome to an exciting episode of Pete vs. Anxiety. My guest today is a man on a mission to transform lives, uplift the world, one quality sleep at a time. With a decade of experience in gritty, the high-stake world of veteran recovery, my guest brings an unparalleled depth insight forged through lived experiences in mental health, wellness, research, and breathwork. Alongside his team, he has raised over $1 million to impactful charities like the Gallipoli Medical Research Foundation. Please welcome in Tim Thomas.
Pete, thanks for that warm welcome, and great to be here. Look forward to spending time with you and those who are watching live right now.
Now, Tim, why don't you tell everybody a little more about yourself? I know we discussed a little bit. Everybody's excited. Tim is actually ex-Special Forces. I'm sure some people might want to hear a little bit about what kind of stuff you used to do and things like that.
Sure. Well, my service, I guess the only unique point about that is in 2004, Australia started this very first scheme in Australia's military history, direct recruiting into special forces. So essentially the government knew war was coming. And they had a budget, but no sort of bums on seats. So they started this program that took adequately screened civilians into the world of special forces. And so I was at 30, the oldest allowable age. So everyone was saying, oh, you're too old, you're too old. Now, fun fact about me, I'm dyslexic, so I see things in patterns. And the pattern I saw was that this was the first time I'd actually aged. I'd never been 30 before, you know. So shouldn't I be the one deciding what I can and can't do? And I encourage people to draw that towards them. This is the first time you're that age. You should be the one deciding, or should you be the one deciding, you know, what you can and can't do at that particular age group. So with the right amount of FU, I just went in there, even though everyone's saying I was too old. And, you know, passing the physical tests, the mental tests, the aptitude, all this sort of stuff. And we were, as soon as sort of the first lots of direct recruiting got through, Afghanistan kicked off. I had my deployments to Afghanistan, East Timor, and it was funny when we were over there. A large part of what we used to do when we used to target the enemy was target what we'd call the enemy's center of gravity. So if you could attack that and off-center them, essentially they'd become fatigued, they'd stop thinking, and they'd be more worried about what you're doing. And things as simple as attacking their sleep were super powerful weapons of war, where we knew that if we could take their sleep out for 3 nights, it would mess them up better than a bullet. And, you know, then when I get out of, you know, the special forces, I see that there's so many, you know, veterans and first responders and people in general just not sleeping, and there's no sort of seen enemy. So, you know, when I got out of the special forces, my sleep was shot to hell. I had PTSD and I didn't know it.
Yeah.
But of course, if you ask me, I was fine. I was still doing a job and just drinking a lot. And I made the mistake of telling a doctor that I couldn't sleep. And then, Pete, I lost 6 years of my life to pharmaceuticals. You know, I didn't know there were natural and immediate cures for poor sleep that were available to me, but you don't hear about this sort of stuff because no one's making money from it. Yeah. So I started sort of taking what I knew, and I worked in the veteran recovery space. Now, I had no experience in this, Pete. other than lived experience, right?
Yeah.
But I had this goal of saving 40 veteran lives from suicide. And that was a lifetime goal. I didn't care if I worked the rest of my life to do that. But the thing is, that goal was achieved within 12 months because the programs I developed, the success of them was measured on how much it improved the quality sleep of the participants.
Yeah.
And it was such a simple thing, but it was so powerful. And I noticed that if you could improve someone's sleep, it's like this heavy lead blanket comes off of them, and they just can function fully. And they know essentially people have everything they need inside of them, but if it's weighed down by fatigue, it's really hard to sort of to even take action. So that's kind of been my sort of story of service and post service.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense though. I mean, because Dr. Leah we had on a couple weeks ago, she was an FBI sleep expert. She works with the FBI, and she was telling me off air that what she does is she does the same thing you're doing. Essentially, is just making sure people are getting better sleep, that they're better well rested, because it makes a heck of a difference. If you don't sleep a lot and then you're sleep deprived, and then you get that sleep, you feel you feel restored. You feel like a new person because now you're not so tired. You're not so not dragging and all this other stuff. Like, I work overnights, and, she was calling me out on that one. She was like, yeah, that's a known carcinogenic. I was like, okay, well, now I feel called out at this point, like, but it's like, I don't sleep a lot though. And, that was the thing. And there's days where I have to literally just shut everything off because I'm so like trying to do too many things at once. And when I do sleep, I feel so much better. I notice a major difference in my mood. How I feel and everything else like that too. And a lot of times too, it makes me more pleasant to be around, because some days I'm just a bear, man. If I'm tired, I'm exhausted. You can tell I'm exhausted. I'm drinking coffee just to stay awake, and then the caffeine's kicking my anxiety in overdrive, and then I'm freaking out, and it's like, yeah, this is not working. So I think people take sleep for granted, honestly. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't need sleep. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You need to rest. You need to do that. I think everybody's too caught into being drawn into things like, oh, I got to be on, answer these messages, this, that. I like to turn my phone off and turn everything else off. And like that. That way people, only people that need to reach me can reach me. Like my wife, she can get to reach me. Everybody else, cut them off. I'm like, you know what? No offense, but after this time, I'm withdrawing from it. I'm going to stay back and just kind of do my own thing and get some sleep, because it's more important. And it's hard though. I get it though, because sometimes we're trying to juggle too many things at once, but do you have any tips for anybody like trying to sleep? I mean, obviously, to kind of like, stay away from the phones, probably most likely for a lot of people, because TikTok and all these other sites that get you sucked in, you just start doom scrolling and you're stuck in that endless loop.
Pete, firstly, thank you for sharing the cost of or the impact of you not sleeping, because there's probably people listening to this going, oh, I get it. I know what it is.
Right.
And they're probably also thinking, well, it's great that you're talking about it, but what can we actually do?
Exactly.
And this is where I never wanted to be one of those people saying, oh, look, people should sleep and then leave it at that. Everyone knows that. How about we give them some tools?
Exactly.
So, I created a company called Breathwork in Bed, and that's exactly what we're here to do, help people do breathwork in bed, because a lot of people don't know that your body is got a certain rank structure for its wiring. Now, your breath outranks your thoughts. So I used to be a professional fighter, and one thing I used to do was take down guys a lot more skillful than me, not because I was more skillful than them, but I knew how the body rank structure worked. So you can have a lot of skill in your head, but if you can take out their lungs, that goes to zero, and this becomes the priority. And that's sort of highlighted in a combat sense. But what I'm saying here is, if you've ever had the experience, you're trying to sleep and your mind's not letting you, you're never going to get out of there. You've got to go higher than it, which is actually in your lungs. So breathing is a chemical override of your neural pathways. So this isn't meditation. Okay. I got quite frustrated with everyone saying, you just got to meditate. But I'm like, there's a train wreck going on up here. That's thoughts controlling thoughts.
Yeah.
So the good thing about breath work is its immediacy. Okay. So what I'm happy to show you and your listeners is my little party trick, how to completely relax your body in just 3 breaths. Okay. The only caveat to this is don't be driving, sort of be in a safe place, be in a place where you're supported.
He's like, full disclosure, try not to do this while you're driving a car, please.
Yep. Save this spot, but believe you me, I want people to walk away from our engagement with something that they can use immediately.
Definitely.
And this is going to be it. This is my little back pocket breath work thing. And if it works for you, ask the question, how many other people could do with, relaxing their body within 3 breaths? So don't just picture yourself in this situation, picture all the people you can share this with. So if you're happy to work with me, Pete.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, definitely. Let's go for it.
So before I work with anybody, breath work isn't hard, but it's our oldest habit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're used to breathing a certain way. And when we do anything differently, it's kind of like, oh, what's going on, right? And there's a bit of resistance. So breath work is so abundantly energetic, but if we don't receive it, if we don't let it in, it can't go to all the places it's supposed to go. So I ask 3 simple questions before we do those 3 breaths.
Okay.
Can I ask you those questions?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Fantastic. Pete, and those listening, do you give full permission to your breath to fully nourish every cell in your physical body?
Yes.
Fantastic. Pete, do you give full permission to your breath to nourish your conscious mind?
Yes.
Fantastic. Now, Pete, do you give permission for your breath, your own very own breath, to fully nourish your unconscious mind?
Yes.
Fantastic. So all we're going to do is just breathe in and out. Now, if you did that, congratulations. You've taken your first conscious breath. Okay. Being aware of your simple inhale and exhale. Because mental health, Pete, in my experience of it, it's not a mental problem. It's a physical disconnect problem. When we're so focused out there, we've disconnected from here, because here is where our power is, underneath our own skin. And when we're connected outside of that, we forget that. Okay. So all I'm going to do is show you how to juice up your simple inhale and exhale with a few little things that you didn't know your body does. So this time when we breathe in, Pete, I want you to breathe in more. So start with an exhale. Blow it out, and I encourage blow it out, shake it out, out, blow it out, shake it out.
Okay.
And,
all right.
And then breathe in, and then more.
Okay. Ready?
Yep. Blow it out, shake it out. Blow it out, shake it out. There's no wrong way to do it. And then out. And then through your nose, breathe in. More. Now hold it and stretch open your chest, wriggle your shoulders back and forth, feel your spine opening up, feel your chest opening up. And if it feels good, let it out with a sigh.
Oh God, that did feel actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, that felt amazing. And it's so simple though, too. Think about it. You're using your own body to help yourself. And I think, like you said, you lost yourself to pharmaceuticals. A lot of people do that. They're like, well, I can't sleep. And then the doctor's quick to give you something that just, God, you don't even think of the side effects of what you're taking either. Just if you sit there, listen to some of these commercials, notice how it's always the side effects are, and it gets real low when they say the side effects and they start listing them. Even some of those antipsychotic ones are like, well, hearing voices aren't supposed to be there. I'm like, wait, hearing voices aren't supposed to be there. Hold up. What? It's funny though.
It's a very vulnerable, when people are hurting, they're very vulnerable, because it's very easy to want Superman to swoop in and take it out with one thing. Yeah. And marketers are very good at speaking your unspoken words. That's exactly what I want. And they'll show you testimonials and stuff like that. And when you're hurting, that becomes believable. Okay. But the power underneath your own skin is the ultimate disruptive technology. Okay. Breath work is the ultimate disruptive technology, because once you connect to that, a lot of stuff outside of you becomes redundant. like most of it, right? So you've taken your first little breath, and we're going to make that even better. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what I really enjoy, and you're doing really well, Pete, the fact that you sort of got into it, and I could see your the energy that was coming through. Some people relax after breath work, some people get energized, but whatever it is, just let it happen. So what I'm trying to say right now is I get a lot of joy from showing people the power underneath their own skin. Now, what yourself and a lot of the other listeners probably didn't know is in your 2 fingers and thumb, you've got a power button. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to push that power button in when we breathe in. Okay. Now, you noticed when you breathed in and out, and then when you breathed in more, you felt more air opening up here.
Yeah.
We're going to call that your secondary inhale. Primary is where you normally breathe in and out.
Yeah.
Secondary inhales when you breathe in more. I want you to hit those power buttons when it gets to the secondary inhale. Okay. So push them as hard as you can when you get to that secondary inhale. So start by, so you're good with that?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay. We start by blowing it out, blow it out, shake it out, blow it out, shake it out. Have your power buttons ready. Have your power buttons ready. Out, 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 out. And then when your mouth closed, breathing in through your nose, and then hit those power buttons. Open, more, lengthen it. Now hold it and wriggle your shoulders. Feel that chest opening up. Feel your chest opening like a flower in the sun. Feel the warmth coming through. And then when it feels good, let it out with a really big sigh. Ah.
Oh, that feels amazing.
Now
that feels really good. I'm telling y'all right now, that felt amazing.
Well, this is your energy, Pete, and energy has an intelligence all of its own. So I just encourage you to just let it go to the places it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
So this is why, it's an active receivership. And if you're used to sort of, protecting yourself in a certain way, it's hard to feel the depth of this, but you're doing really well. And we're going to juice this up even more. So if you look at my nose here, I'm going to get close to the camera. See how I can flare my nostrils? One thing my coach used to taught me when I was fighting was that before you do a combination, do a big snort through your sinuses because that oxygenates your brain. Now, whether that's based in science or not, I don't know, but it worked in combat. And science is now showing that when you breathe through your nose, you create nitric oxide. Okay, now that's a gas that is only produced when we breathe through our nose. Okay, so shallow breathing through your mouth, super unhealthy for a number of reasons. In fact, if you want to die early, breathe through your mouth. But breathing through your nose produces this nitric oxide. And that's a gas that is beneficial for heart, lungs, brain, mood, it's a vasodilator. So if we went to the chemist and you said, hey, give me something that's good for my heart, my lungs, my brain, my mood, how much would you pay for that?
Too much, probably.
All right.
Way too much.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So this is free drugs right now. And so what we're going to do is as we blow it out, shake it out, and with our power buttons, we're going to double the speed of the inhale and try and almost collapse your nostrils so you can really suck it down over those sinuses. Okay. And we're going to point that nose up at the ceiling. Okay. So it's almost like you're leaning back a bit. So this is where you have to be in a safe environment, a supported chair. Okay. So did you want a little demo before we do this?
No, I think I got it. I understand.
Okay. All right. So we're just going to blow it, shake it out, and then suck it through our nose as fast as we can and look up, lean back, hold it, and do the wriggle thing.
Okay. All right.
Cool. Okay. So blow it out, shake it out. Loosey goosey. Blow it out, shake it out. Get rid of all your tension. Out, 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 out. You'll be surprised how much you can blow out. Then with your power buttons, rapid inhale through the nose, looking up. In. Feels good. Now just stretch and wriggle. Let that chest open up. Feel like it's opening in the sun, that warmth coming through. And when you feel you can't stop that sigh, let it out like a
Yep. Oh yeah, it feels amazing though. I mean, well, listen, I do know because I've watched a lot of UFC here and there. You do notice they don't breathe through their mouth, which is a really good point that you made. Is that breathing your nose is more beneficial because if you watch them, they're constantly breathing through their nose. You don't see them really breathing through their mouth at all. Only sometimes when they're doing like certain actions, like you hear that little air burst come out when they're punching or releasing as they go, kind of thing. Is there a reason why they do that? Is that more power behind it though? I've always wondered that.
Oh, no. So the ancient saying, control your breath, control everything.
Yeah.
And when you're generating power and you create a compressive force inside, okay, and just that, and if you can speed up that sound, it actually speeds up your whole fascia. Okay, this bag of meat is surrounded by a bag, which is your skin and your fascia. So it's not just the muscles moving, it's your fascia, and you can get that happening at a rapid rate by coordinating your breath in with it. And also too, making a sound like okay. Sorry if I blew people's ears out then. Nikola Tesla once said, if you want to understand the universe, think frequency, vibration, and resonance.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you make a or when I invited people to make a sigh, okay, that's a resonance. Okay. Yeah. That's creating energy. That's releasing blockages. Okay. And when it says, understand the universe, and think frequency, vibration, and resonance, it's actually this universe here underneath our own skin. Okay. We are a universe under here. Okay. And breath is the easiest gateway to get into that. So what I want people to take, and we're going to do this one more time, because that secondary inhale, Pete, I call that the breath of possibility. Okay. Now look what happens to my structure when I got shit in my head and the world becomes hard. Look what happens to me. It's like the weight of the world on my shoulders. I'm hunched over. Okay. Yeah. So proper breathing gives you proper alignment.
Right.
So we're not just getting more energy from more oxygen, Pete. We're getting more energy from more alignment in the way that your brain is an electrical generator. Our nerves are like cables, but they're like squishy garden hoses. So, if you step on your garden hose or kink the garden hose, there's no water running through. That's what it's like with our nerves and our strength of energy. So when we're aligned, when we're upright, when we're breathing properly, we've got more strength and power. Okay. Yeah. And they found that when I worked with the British Special Forces, that every degree your frame is out, you lose between 8 and 12% strength. Okay, so you might be able to carry 100 kilos. If your alignment's 1 degree out, then you can only carry 88 to 92 kilos.
Yeah.
That's how much power difference there is. So breath work is, it's about feeling good, but there's a massive power and performance side to this. So I encourage people, this little power button, okay, when you start getting shit in your head, you might have heard the term rumination, where you get one little bit of shit in your head, you focus on it, and that 2% becomes 4% becomes 8, 16, 32, and it takes over your whole head. Pinch your fingers together and take that breath, okay? Kick that shit out of your head. So, and I visualize snorting air through my sinuses to blow that blockage out of my head. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
makes perfect sense.
Just think for a second right now. Just have your fingers ready and like suck air through your nose like you're trying to pull it into your brain and dispel a thought. So just try that now. Okay, that real snort through the nose. That's you getting your power back. That's you getting into this moment. That's you oxygenating your neural pathways, chemical override. Okay. And when people ask me how often should I breathe, I'm like, well, when I couldn't self-regulate and I was on pharmaceuticals, I had pills not just in my medicine cabinet, I had it by my bed, in my car, in the fruit bowl, in the cupboard, because I was always trying to self-regulate, but I couldn't do it for myself. So this little breathwork technique, okay, is something that you can access whenever, however, as much as you need. And I'm going to show you this breath of possibility to create also the breath of peace. Now, this one is super powerful and energetic. And again, you do need to be in a safe environment. So when you're kicking around in public, breath of possibility, but this breath of peace, you want to be either seated or laying down. Okay, because this one really creates a wonderful sensation of rest inside of you. So all we're going to be doing, Pete, is breathing in and wriggling, but we're going to hold it and we're going to move it from our upper, middle, down to our lower. So we're going to put our hands on our bellies, Okay, and we're going to push it down low into our belly. So just practice right now, hands on your belly, push your belly button out and feel like there's a bubble of air down there, right? Because in your lower third of your lungs, that's where you have the best gas exchange, because that's where the most blood is. So when I'm working with athletes, I'll show them how to breathe this way to dissolve lactic acid. Because oxygen dissolves lactic acid. So in between sets, you breathe a certain way to accelerate more rapidly. But you and me sitting down right now, this extra oxygenation, you will feel why it's called the breath of peace. Okay, so it's going to be just like the breath of possibility. Bring it in, hold it in, shake it, and then wriggle it down low, hands down low, push it down low. And then we're going to squeeze it down low, and we're going to let it out with a just let it bleed out like a cat's kind of hiss. The whole time we're pushing it down low. You cool with that?
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
All right. And I encourage everyone to do this at home, but again, do it in a safe place. This is super potent. And if you can crack this for you, how many other people out there are looking for peace? You could be the one that actually introduces them to the most powerful thing they never knew they had underneath their own skin. Okay. These are the stakes we're playing for. And I'm glad this is in digital format, because in 100 years time, people are going to need this. Okay.
Right.
So have your power buttons ready. Blow it out, shake it out. Blow it out, shake it out. Just loosey-goosey. Blow it out, shake it out. Out, 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 out. And then when you're ready, mouth closed, snort through the nose really rapidly. Hit those power buttons. Open, 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 open. Open the chest, lean back. Okay, good. Now hold it. Now hands on your belly. Let your head fall forward. Let your head fall forward. Push it down low. Push it down low. Feel it down low. Feel it down low. Very good. Now let it out with a as long as possible, long as possible, long as possible, long as possible. And then just sit with that, let that energy go where it's supposed to go. It's got an intelligence of its own. If it needs to go into your shoulder, your head, your face, your lower back, wherever that is, this is your energy and it's there to help you, and it knows you.
Yeah. Oh, it feels amazing. That feels great, though. I mean, people at home that haven't tried this yet, you definitely got to try this. It's something else. The feeling you get is just, like he said, you feel relaxed, you feel energetic. I just feel just at peace. I came in, kind of a little stiff. After this, I'm feeling really good now. I feel loose, shoulders loosen up. Everything else is feeling really good.
Pete, we're going to do that 2 more times. Is that okay? Each time, your body gets more and more receptive. Oh, kind of like, that was amazing. More, please. That was amazing. More, please. Right. So we're just going to do that 2 more times. I'll be right here with you. We'll guide you through it. So blow it out, shake it out. Blow it out, shake it out. Out, 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 out. Just feel your power buttons ready. Feel your power buttons ready. And then when you're ready, breathing in, looking up, stretching, open, open, open. Very good. Open. Now wriggle your shoulders. Hold it, and then just hands on your belly. Push it down low. Let your head fall forward. Push it down low, and then let it out super slow as you compress it down low, like compressed air coming out, as much as you can. Let that integrate. Just shake your body a bit. Let it integrate. And on this last one, we're going to delightfully exhale. Out. And this one's going to be extra long inhale with your power buttons ready. Breathing in, hit those power buttons, raise your chin, raise your chest. Oh my gosh, that feels amazing to feel that oxygen pushing around the place inside of you. Now holding your breath and let everything relax forward. Hands on your belly, push it extra low, low. Compress it, and then let it out with a try and make that extra long exhale.
Oh, that feels amazing. Everybody at home that thinks it's just breathing. This all it is just breathing. It's just the way you're doing things. The feeling you get is amazing. Like that overwhelming feeling it washes over you, that you just feel so calm as you feel like everything just kind of going away and anything else like that. It's a real great feeling for me. Now, like Tim said, though, it could be different for other people, though, how you feel. Like you can feel a little tired or whatever else, it may be a different experience, which that's great because we're all different individuals. So we experience things different ways, but it's feeling great so far for me.
Well, what breath work does, it removes anything from in the way of you feeling your physical body. So if some people after doing this, they're like, oh, actually, I could go to sleep right now, which is perfect.
Yeah.
Some people after doing this, oh, I've got a bunch of energy to do stuff.
Right.
Okay, whatever's, and like I said, mental health isn't mental health in my experience. It's physical disconnect. Okay, the
Yeah.
more I'm out focusing on the outside things, the less connected I am to my body. And I can have all sorts of crazy stuff going on here, but I'm not listening to it because I'm so focused out there.
Yeah.
And this world loves to have you focused out here because that's how they essentially tell us we're not enough.
Yeah.
And if I'm not enough, I need something more. So I'll pay for it. And who's going to buy more crap? Someone who knows their value and knows how to add value to themselves and people around them, and someone who doesn't know their value and then believes that when you say you can't be complete unless you got a pair of sneakers.
Yeah.
Or a particular, or however many amounts of something that is seemingly important. And like I said, breath is the ultimate disruptive technology, because if you start looking around, Pete, you'll start seeing this whole economy is based on us not knowing our power.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You're not wrong. Think about it. Like, all those energy drink people, they thrive on the people that aren't sleeping. They're like, yeah, listen, here, buy my drink. It's got more caffeine, And some people are caffeine sensitive, don't even know it, man. They start drinking those things. I think there's one girl I worked with. She was drinking like 3 of them in a night. I was like, dude, I don't know if you should be consuming all that. That's a lot of caffeine in there. You don't know what they're putting in those things. Oh, no, I'll be fine. One day she just went completely berserk. I'm like, I told you, like too much of that shit's going to be bad for you. Like coffee, I'll do in limited bits. If I, need a little pick me up or something, I go real easy with it because we all know what caffeine does to your anxiety. It'll cause your anxiety to start picking up, and things like that too. So I get it. I've been there. I've been a slave to the energy drinks before. I was a younger kid. When I was younger, I decided to do something stupid, those Starbucks Frappuccino things. I decided one day I was going to have 7 of them. Well, guys, let me tell you, that experiment didn't end well for me. I was twitching. I was twitching, Tim. When I tell you, I was like back and forth. It's like I couldn't stop moving. They're like, "Are you okay?" No, I'm doing fine. I'm doing great. They're like the proverbial ADHD person would be. Like that character would just be completely just shooting stuff off. So, what's going on? How you doing, Randall?
Did I see a Colonel Randall? Was he ex-military?
I'm not too sure. Randall, are you ex-military?
Cole Randall Rhodes. Is that Colonel Randall Rhodes?
Yeah, I wonder if that is too. We'll see what he says. But yeah, I had made that a mistake. I didn't know anything. I was young. I just kept drinking them and I stayed up all, I thought it'd be funny. I was like, I just kept going. And eventually it was just like, I just couldn't stop moving. I had so much caffeine thriving into my body. My hands were twitching, my feet are. He says he's doing okay. Randall, are you a colonel by chance? That was Tim's question to you, bud. But, I thought that was a great idea on my part. I was like, yeah, that was a great experiment not to do again, but he says the rank is CSA. I'm not sure what that is either.
Military loves their acronyms. Not sure if
Randall, what's a CSA for us, Randall? I'm sorry, man. I'm not too keen on the acronyms either. But yeah, you're not wrong though. Think about it. Like think about when people go as seen on TV or Shark Tank, they're trying to fix a problem somebody has. And that's what that's how those products are so successful. It's like you have to fill a void in somebody's life where it fits something they need, basically, and you're just kind of like trying to fill that void with this useless crap a lot of times that people don't need. And there's some stuff that's just like, as seen on TV had a whole section in like our pharmacies. Well, he said Confederate. What's up, Tyler? How you doing, brother?
Tyler, how you doing?
Tyler's actually the host of the Best Damn Podcast. I was on his podcast on Saturday. It was really great, Tim. I'll have to get you linked up with him for sure. But yeah, but you're not wrong though. Think about it, because like you said, the way marketing works is you have to sell it to somebody that needs something. Like, hey, you really need this for this reason. Why do you think fast food's so successful? Think about it. It fills that void of people that don't have time to make food or whatever their reason they come up with. Well, I can't make nothing. I can just go get something from them. They'll have it ready for me in seconds. Not realizing the crap that goes into all that stuff and all the extra stuff they add into it and things like that too. And then you become a slave to it. And it's like, Then that documentary, what was it, Super Size Me, where the guy came out, was eating nothing McDonald's for like 30 days. It was like he's eating it every single, and you can watch him going through the most miserable time of his life. But it's scary thing is that people are actually going to doing that though. He was just putting it on a magnified scale because now everybody sees it everywhere. But he said that though, that there are people that actually that's their diet, those like that. And it's just horrible to watch.
I was trying to explain to myself, how would I explain Western society when I was in deployment in Afghanistan? I said, how would I explain Western society to an Afghani? And I'm like, well, essentially, the Western world is a consumer society. We all kind of know this, but we have to understand the gravity of that, because the goal of a consumer society is to have us consume.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And that's pretty scary, because if you look at it, whether it's by design or default, if you had two groups of people, one didn't know their value, was always told they could only be happy if they had certain things.
Yeah.
And then another group knew how to generate their value, could create their own happiness. Who would firstly believe crap that was stupid, and who would buy crap that wasn't serving them?
Yeah, that's true though.
The
ones that feel they're undervalued though. Yeah.
Since we're knee high. So there's so many things that we don't even know we're doing.
Yeah.
And my sort of piece of the wellness pie is, it amazes me, like everyone, you, me, everyone listening has a body. And it amazes me how little we know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny though. What did the Afghani say to you though when you told them that you're explaining Western, how you explain our side of the world to them? They're probably looking at you like, what?
This wasn't a conversation I had with the Afghanis. It was
okay.
This was in my mind, and literally
okay, got you now.
Within that conversation, I was picturing, because a lot of times on deployment you're bored, right? So I had these conversations in my head, and I was picturing, these two guys setting up an IED, senior Taliban guys setting up an IED, and there's this teenager they're trying to teach, and he's on his phone, he's looking disengaged, and they're giving him crap. So, get off that Western piece of equipment. And then he's like, okay, so how many people are you going to kill with this IED? He says, if we're lucky, maybe 2. And then he's like, the kid's like, look at this. If you really want to be a terrorist and do a good job, look how many Americans die from heart disease each year, millions. Yeah. And then these two guys that are laying the IED go, we're going to open a fast food takeaway place.
But
that's
think about
how we're going to kill more people,
Yeah, think about it though. Think about how many McDonald's always talking about, we sold over 14 billion burgers, or making a statement like that. But it's at the same time, it's like you don't know what they're putting in that stuff, and it's horrible, man. And people are like, I can't eat better. I'm like, you can actually. It takes less time to make a lot of that stuff than you realize. You go to the store and get the actual ingredients yourself. One, it's more fun because then you can tailor it to your taste. And plus, you're learning a life skill. You're learning how to take care of yourself versus relying on somebody else who doesn't care about you, that's just trying to feed you whatever they can give you, and it's just like there's always that question of what the hell is in this that you're eating. You start eating it and you're looking at it and you're like, this doesn't seem right. It's like, this is also a chicken patty, but then there's parts to this patty. Well, what parts am I eating now? Because this patty's not really chicken anymore. We're eating something that's come together, and then what was it? They said the McDonald's nuggets that, oh my God, I am a slave to, and I resist at all costs, but they're just so good. But it's like they're made up of minced chicken parts is what they're basically essentially are. So it's like a paste, and people are eating this and not realizing the effects it does have on their mental health. Because when you don't eat right, a lot of times that'll screw with your head too, is that you're not eating right, and you feel sluggish and all these other things like that. You're just adding to the more your misery, and we all know misery loves company. So everybody that's hooked on this stuff, once they get you hooked, sodas especially, Tim, man, are so hard to get rid of. Like I tried to kick sodas and I've done a really great job of it. I found things to replace them, but I'll have one once in a while because even I'm diabetic, I shouldn't even have that stuff. But I drink a lot more water though. But I found those little water enhancer things are really helpful too. It's like you get the flavor, but you're not getting all the sugar they're adding from all that other stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, what you're speaking to there is people tend to trade quality for convenience, but it's easy to say that from the top down, but because so many people are so disconnected from their body and so focused on something else, they end up being time poor. So they're like, oh, body's hungry, throw something in there. I won't be hungry,
Yeah.
then I can keep doing what I'm doing.
Ooh,
And
that's a good
they
point right
don't
there.
see that this whole, like, the fast food industry has done a lot of work in what can get your brain addicted to certain things,
Yeah.
you know. I see,
That's a really good point too, by the way. I know you're talking, but that's a
cigarettes
really
and
good
alcohol.
point.
It's there to. Let me say it another way. When I was living out of balance, I didn't
Yeah.
know why, but I had to drink half a carton of grog before I spoke to my then wife.
Yeah.
Okay. And I say then wife, not ex-wife, because I stand for a positive future in that relationship. And I was using alcohol to essentially give me comfort and a sense of connection. And it did for a short period, but it was a bit like me being broke, and then a loan shark gives me a loan, but I've got to pay it back extra the next week.
Right.
But I'm still broke, so I've got to get another loan, and you're sort of going further and further into what I call energy debt.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, the way I encourage people to see their energy is like money. How you invest it is how you get it back.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you want to find out who you are as a person, it's not a particularly mystical thing. Just observe the things that you invest energy into and the return you get. Now, some people could invest $10 into playing guitar, let's say. I'm not a guitar player, but some people, if they invested the time playing guitar, $10 in, gives them $100 back. Okay. That little breathwork exercise we did, that cost a bit of energy to do that, but I'd like to think, it might have cost $2, but you got $20 back.
Yeah, you got value back. Yeah.
So if just like you've got a shares portfolio, and you wouldn't just be throwing money into an asset that was just taking from you, treat your own energy like an energy investment portfolio. Notice the things that you do with your body that really return you a massive investment. Could be working out, could be breathing, could be yoga, could be running, whatever it is. And also observe the foods you eat that you invest into that you get a return from. Observe the people that are in your life that you invest into that you get a really good return from.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, you're right.
And once you get that down packed, Pete, all of a sudden, what I want for myself and all my clients is to live like energetic millionaires.
Yeah.
Okay. Energetic millionaires means that you are operating from a position of strength in any interaction you have throughout the day. Because I've been that guy who only had $1.50 and someone's taken 75 cents, and that was a massive withdrawal because comparatively it was. And I chased that 75 cents because that was wrong and I'm right. And I spent years and I completely forgot the fact that I could make another $1 million the next day.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, it makes sense though, I like to say too, I tell people to invest in yourself, take care of yourself better. The food thing, I think, is the big thing about it. It's like people don't understand that's where you get your energy on is food. Don't be putting crap in and expecting good things to come out because you're going to get crap out, and it's the same thing, with the way you breathe too. Like the breath work, it's so easy to do. It's like you don't need a magic pill cure at all. All we were doing is using our own bodies and breath to basically release that stress and everything else that you're dealing with, and it's great that breath work in bed exists because it's so easy for people to do. It fills that void, but then it doesn't include all the big farm winning at this point. We take them away from that. We put them in to control their own bodies and give them that power of the entitlement. They're like, oh, now I can do it on my own. I don't need somebody else to do it for me. And I think little by little they'll build that confidence and basically, feel like they can do it more and they don't need somebody else, and start adapting that idea. Stop like letting everybody else control what they do and control manifest their own destiny, basically, essentially.
Yeah. Well, Chinese for thousands of years been saying first the body, then the mind.
Yeah.
You get your body right, then the mind kind of sorts itself out. And the way I kind of see it is, I sort of see our bodies as the radio. This body here is just a radio. Okay. But who I am is the signal.
Yeah.
And, this body can pass, but I'm still going to be around. But what I can do in this body is divide my actions up into two lots. One thing that tunes me into who I really am, and things that tune me out. Now, a lot of people get lost in the radio itself. Okay. That's why the gyms are full of mirrors. They want you to only look at what you can see, not what you can't see. In fact, I believe that's how they make their money, because if all you're doing it, if the only reason you're improving this radio is for it to look a certain way, you've completely missed the point, and it's a very low energy return just doing it for your body. So if you picture this, two people on a treadmill, one of them's only there because they're not happy with their bum. All right. The other person, every step they take is saying, I value this body of mine. Every step I take is getting everything I really want closer and closer. Yeah. And I can tell you now that that sort of headspace, when you can trade your expectations for affirmations. So when I'm consulting with anybody and they're starting a physical discipline, I say, forget about the weight, forget about the measurements. Don't think shape, think state, energetic state. You may or may not get the shape you want, but you can get an energetic state today, understanding that you're affirming your value when you do move your body, and you're creating that energetic portfolio, which you can access today. You can be a better person today because you've invested in yourself. Yeah. Which kind of leads me to my next biohack. I mean, breathwork is awesome, and that's the foundation that connects us to ourselves. But I ask people to consider the possibility, Pete, that if we're connected inside ourselves, that's only half the connection. We're actually meant to connect with others, you know, and it shows. You got double the dopamine when you're working out with somebody else or doing anything with somebody else. You've doubled the amount of energy in that space. Yeah. But generosity is such a powerful thing that it can often be done wrong, and then it's something that you never do again. So what nobody knew, Pete, was when I was doing all this work with the veterans and saving all these veteran lives within a year, nobody knew that every 6 or 7 weeks, I had to write myself off drunk for 3 days, because I was being very generous with my energy, but I was giving of myself. I wasn't giving of my abundance. Yeah. And what I noticed was if I was just at 100% and I gave someone 10% away, there was a part of me that said, you know, I'm down to 90%. You better do something with that 10%, you know, and I'd have attachments, expectations. But I noticed the big change in me, was if I invest in me and I make 500% for the first part, you know, invest in me to start with, create 500%, then I can give away 20% a day, and people can love it, hate it, tell me to F off. It doesn't matter. And once you get the grasp of that, once you get in touch with something so much greater than what can be taken from you, you can be generous and truly giving consistently. And generosity is the ultimate internal biohack. The amount of good dopamine, serotonin it creates in you, the amount of chemicals it creates in other people, and the amount of chemicals it creates in people observing that act of generosity. So generosity is very much a part of your wellness. I don't like using overused terms like empowerment, but when you're fully powerful, then it's quite a natural thing to be generous, because you've gotten so much. You've tapped into the source, and you've noticed it's a very powerful thing to connect to others.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's amazing. I get to connect to people every day on the show. You know, every time I hit record, every time something comes, it's always a new connection I'm making with new people, and it feels great, because then after that, I'll tell other people about the experience. Well, hey, yeah, I interviewed this person. You know, like I was telling some people I was going to have an interview with you and told them a little bit about you. And the one guy just shocked me. He was like, "Oh man, I'm ready to hear that. Yeah, that'd be something awesome." And I said, "Yeah, you know, he's doing these things with breath work and stuff. What's that?" I'm like, "Well, stay tuned. You'll find out when he comes on. We'll talk about it, and you can have a better understanding like that." You know, and he was so excited, you know, to hear. And you know, and I tell people about the show all the time. I'm always sharing it with other people. A lot of people you would never even know if you just went based on looks like everyone else does. You would never know these people were so interested in what I had to say. They were like, "Oh, I love." The one guy kept coming up to me. He came up to me the other day. In fact, I saw him. He said, "Hey, man, I'm enjoying the show," and I totally forgot that he had said he was going to listen. You know, and then he reminded me. I was like, "I'm so glad you're enjoying it." I'm like, "How far are you in?" He's like, "Well, I started from the beginning." I'm like, "Well, get ready for a ride, because it gets interesting." You know, when you get to a certain couple episodes in the first half of the year, you know, when we get to a certain point, you'll find that right at the beginning of the year, we had an interesting moment happen, and I was telling him a little about it too, things like that. But he was so enthralled to go check it out. And the other people too were so amazed. They're like, "Oh, you do a podcast?" Every time I tell people about it, they're like, "You do a podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do a podcast outside of here. That's what it is." And when you tell them, it's fun to watch their response, okay? Because with mental health, you get interesting responses, and it's a generational thing. Some of the other generation are just like, yeah, whatever, and I could get that though, because if you look at what it was like then, it really wasn't that important to them. They didn't know as much as we know now. Now some of the other ones in between, where my age range are, in the 40s to 30s, right in that range, they all are very interested now, because now it's a big thing to people. It's like, all this awareness, and people, and I tell them exactly what I do. I tell them I talk to. I've talked to everybody. I don't leave any space open. I talk to every musicians. I talk to artists, authors, anybody I can get that wants to come join the conversation. I try to bring them in, because I think everybody has an opinion, and everybody's opinion is valued by me. I want to hear what your thoughts are. So, we can get the idea of what people, think. And it's nice when you get younger people involved too, because there's a young guy that works on the show with me. He does the audio, and I had never even known that he was that important. He thought he was so behind it, because I told him what I was doing, and he loves it. He goes out there and tells everybody, yeah, I'm working with this guy. He's working on this podcast. He does mental health stuff like this. And it's interesting to see people's responses though, because a lot of them are like, really? Like, what do you talk about? And I tell them what the name of the show is. They're like, oh, so is it about anxiety? That makes me laugh every single time. I'm like, why do you assume it's automatically anxiety is the only thing we talk about? I'm like, we talk about everything here. I don't think there's ever a subject I've ever said no to, except for maybe two people, but they got a little too blurry between the lines of what they wanted to talk about. I'm like, yeah, you might want to clear that message up and come back and talk to me, because I'm here to create safe space for people to come talk about these things. Have such great people as yourself come on, teach new tools, have people share their stories and feel empowered by those stories. And, because a story means a lot to everybody. Sometimes you never know that how well aligned you are with somebody else, like my guest this morning and we had a lot in common with things that he was saying. And it was so interesting, because I've never met these people. Mind you, I know I don't meet with people prior, because I feel like, I want to know them. I want to get to know them while we're alive, because it's more genuine when you're having a conversation, because you learn things. I didn't even know you were a pro fighter at one. You were a fighter at one point. You just told us. I was like, get out. That's awesome. Things like that too. It's so great, the things you find out when you start talking to people and you're just having a conversation. So it's been great though, getting to know you and everything too. I love what you're doing, man. I really do. Like I said, it was great. I got a chance to listen to your book too, guys. And Tim had sent the book to me ahead of time. I was listening to it in the car, and it was great. It was a nice little thing driving home work, because there's some days I'm just ready to lose my steam, man. And it was helpful for me just to relax after a long night, come home, because I think that's the hardest part, is shutting my brain down. Like you pointed out, it's hard for people to shut their brains down when you're trying to go to bed. And for me, I work nights, so I come home and some days I'll record and then I'll go to bed after that. And it's that part of when I get done, it's like, okay, well, Pete, now it's time to go to sleep. And Pete's brain's like, nope, we don't think so. My body's like, let's go to bed. We're tired, man. My brain's like, hey, no, let's go. Let's take off, man. We still go. We invincible. No, we not invincible. We're not,
I love
unfortunately.
it. I love it, Pete. And I'm interested, what's your journey been like? You've shared with other people's experience of you. How's it been on your side of things? If you were to speak truthfully, in the deepest sense, what's been your experience under your own skin?
From the beginning to where I'm now, I could just tell you now, it's the evolution of Pete. I discovered more about myself that I didn't know. For so many years, I thought I knew who I was, but now that I'm going down this path and I'm engaging with other people, I start to learn little bits about myself and different things, like I'm energy sensitive. I never knew that until I met somebody else that explained what it was. I was this phenomenon I was feeling I couldn't explain. And, and then I discovered, I'm empath. So I take on a lot of people's emotions too, and things like that too. But these people teach me things, how to protect myself and things like that too, and I started mental health. Now I'm moving towards energy healing. Is a big subject for myself personally, where I go to like energy healing, things like that, checking all these unnatural cures and things. And at first I didn't know any of this stuff, and this is a journey of self-discovery. Like I'm learning so much about myself as I go. And I'm meeting all these great people along the way. There's a woman that has a film that's coming out about mental health. Her name's Stephanie Aycock. The movie is called Bloom. So what it is basically a different aspect to look at mental health. And when I met her, I had no idea about this movie. But when she told me about it, I'm so behind it. I talked to everybody about it. And she loves it, though, that I'm out there talking to people about it, because I'm like, man, this is so cool, And had I not done the show, I would have never met anybody like that. I've never met her. I've never met Melanie. Is the one that turned me on to energy. And then, I've met people recently, like Mars Hendrick, he's an artist, but he also does healing as well too, and things like that too. And we just all these engaging conversations, man. You take away all these great little nuggets of truth, and I start learning more about myself, and and I feel like a lot of times the universe is putting these people in my path. So anybody I come in contact with, I have a good feeling about beforehand because I have a real good sense of energy. I mean, it sounds weird to people when I tell them that. Like when I'm messaging somebody back and forth, if I feel like I'm just not feeling it, or I have a strange feeling, I feel like this just the conversation just isn't going to work for us. I unfortunately pass, and I've done that for a few people, and they were very respectfully understandable about it. Things like that too. But in the beginning, I was just taking on whatever. Now it's like I'm really thinking about what guests I'm taking on. Like when people message me to be on the show, I'm really analyzing what you're saying because I have a message, and it's just, I want to promote mental health, wellness in general, no matter how it is you take it in therapy, energy healing, breath work, all these different things that people bring to the table. And it's great when I get people to come on that share these different experiences. I want to connect people that way. So not only that, it's a journey of self-discovery. I am connecting people with other people like yourself, Tim, that are doing these great things, and, giving them the resources and things like that too, because all my friends on my podcasting group joke with me, and they call me the master networker because I'm always connecting different people with each other and things like that. Because I'm always sharing different things like, oh yeah, hey, yeah, have you heard of this person, or have you heard that person? Oh man, you got to meet this great person. So every time my interviews end, I usually go in that group and I'll tell them, hey, listen, I just interviewed this person. This is a little bit about them. What do y'all think? And then see if anybody else is interested, in the same thing. Or there's other shows that are not inside my little group I still reach out to that I know, like, a bunch of different podcasters. I reach out to them all. I'm like, hey, listen, you got to check this person out. This fits right into some stuff you talked about, and it's great because then you go and you'll have a great experience with them. And then that's because I'm the one that connected you guys together. And I feel even better because it's like, oh, great, I brought these guys together. We had a great conversation, and it just keeps getting contagious and everything else.
Oh, I can see that you're the energetic mortar between the bricks.
Right.
And I do want to speak to that point of human connection. Look, people say, oh, we're all connected. But the way I kind of see it, Pete, is we're all living on the same energetic grid.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're aware of the grids. The grid spaces you're aware of is relative to your own energy level. Usually, if you've got low energy level, you don't have a lot of awareness. But if you have a high energy level, and I'm not talking, coffee or Red Bull, I'm talking about, energetic depth and resonance inside yourself, how connected to your own body you are essentially. And which ironically then leads to powerful connections outside of yourself. But point I'm trying to make here is if you picture people sort of on this grid, and we're feeling each other a lot more than we probably know. And if people doubt me on that, because I got a lot of military mates, really, manly men. Oh, Tim, you're full of shit. What's this energetic grid? And I'm like, well, okay. You feel that energetic grid when someone close to you dies.
Yeah.
Okay. Because those golden invisible strands that you were feeling at any given time, when they get severed, that's when most people feel that connection. So if you're working off this as a premise, if you feel it when someone's physically removed from the grid, conversely, you'll benefit if someone's physically improved.
Yeah.
Now, we can't see it with our eyes. Like you've spoken on a few things, how you've been surprised about how beneficial your work's been to people around you, and you just didn't know. You're just doing what you do.
Yeah, exactly.
And I have a faith that helps me know that when we get to the other side, you're going to say, we're going to be shown our lives as we saw it through our own eyes. And then we're going to be shown our lives as we didn't see it. So not just a linear set of events.
Yeah.
We're going to see how that impacted others, then others and others. And it just kept on creating this incredible sort of butterfly effect. One event affecting so many other things. But I think that the compass that we can run off is when something feels right, when something feels aligned, when something feels good, when something's bringing more love, more peace, more joy into your life. That is the point where you're creating the most powerful ripples. And you don't have to worry about it. This is just the energetic field doing the work. Those ripples are then flowing onto others. You're just aligned with something that's bringing you all these awesome things. And it's nice to see it from time to time, but I've noticed if you're really going to be a healer in this world, you can't do it for any kind of thanks.
Yeah.
Because if you're a healer, not a marketer, okay, and we spoke about this earlier, it's not until I had a chronic injury that I realized that the world we live in isn't the world. It isn't an age of information. It's an age of marketing. First 6 pages of Google, marketers, right? And marketers are good at speaking the words that you want to hear, promising power, giving you a taste, but years will go by, dollars will leave your pocket, and people end up blaming themselves. And I've had so many people come to me saying, look, I tried to get help. The help didn't help. In fact, it made it worse. So I'm never going to get help again. All right. But what a healer will do is firstly know that they're human. Their energy is not enough for two people.
Yeah.
But they've mastered a connection to something super powerful. And that might have taken them 10 years to create that mastery, but they can introduce other people in far less time. And once you've gotten introduced to the source, you don't need resales. And what I've observed, and you may observe this too, you might introduce 100 people to something powerful who really need it, and maybe only one or two of them will go, oh, you know what? Thank you. Because most people, when they connect into the power, like, oh, great, I was never in the darkness. I've always been in the light. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the point I'm trying to make here is doing it because it's an affirmation of who you are.
Yeah.
Is super important. Otherwise, you know, I used to burn myself out because I had expectations, you know, on people to, you know, I've done this, you've got to do that. No, I'm doing this because this is who I am. This is what I do. Yeah.
That's actually a conversation that happened when I started this. It was, you know, oh, I don't think you should wait. No, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I want to do, you know, and I stood by it so far, and it was the greatest decision ever because like this show took off instantly. Like when I pitched the concept out there, I got offered by a podcast network to join them. So that came into play. And then the show booked out to the end of the year within like a week. I was like, this is insane. Like I didn't realize how powerful this conversation is going to be. And then I'm like, well, you know, let me ask. And I asked them if I could do a 3 p.m. slot. And they're like, yeah, why not? There's nobody there. Sure, why not? Go ahead and fill the gap wherever you'd like. You know, they actually told me I could go as live as much as I wanted to, but end of the year again. So come November though, I'm telling people I'm booked out to July of 2025, you know, and that's just Monday. This isn't like where I add the extra days in where I started picking up other, you know, adding more interviews to the mix and everything else. It was just Monday, one concept, one day a week. I had 2 shows, you know, both would be live and people would be able to watch and, you know, have a conversation and invite people, real people like yourself, different people all over the place. And the idea was to bring everyone together through just this one conversation. Now, had I known what was going to happen at the beginning of the year, that this thing was going to explode, I, you know, would have told you so. I was still not believing it because I was like, this is so surreal. Like people want to talk to me just about these things. And then, you know, random people I don't know come up to me and say, hey, listen, I like what you're doing. I heard, or people message me too and go, hey, listen, I listened to your show. I got something I think that's perfect. And it's great when you hear that because people are listening to it. It's like, well, hang on, you're listening to this? All right, awesome. You know, hell, even my own family members, Tim, I didn't even know half of them were listening to it. They're like, yeah, we listen to your show. We think what you're doing is really great. You're doing a good job. And it's like, y'all talking to me? Like, you know, I deal with imposter syndrome a lot of times when it came that early on. Now I'm better at accepting it a little bit better now. But it's just so real when you hear people say that, hey, you're doing a great thing. But to me, all I'm doing is I'm just having a great conversation. I not only am I learning something, but people that are listening get to learn things too along the way, you know. And then that whole question about who's Pete, because all my interviews, I base them on my guests. I don't worry about me, but somebody else had asked me that question. She hosts a podcast called Humanity 2.0. She said to me at the end of it, she's like, Pete, we didn't talk about you at all. I'm like, I know this wasn't about me. This is about you, you know? And it's like, but little by little did I start telling people about my story, you know? And at the same time, I'm healing because it's easier for me to share more details of things that have led up to where I'm at now, you know? And I'm going to write my own book though. Actually, I'm working on a memoir. It's called The Voice of the Voiceless. You know, basically the idea is that all these people needed a space and I'm created this space for them. And all it is because I was interested in this topic. And when I went for it, I just went for it, you know, just open the door to the conversation. And then we've had great conversations. So now, you know, it's like, you know, these people that didn't have a place, didn't have a spot where they could feel like they could talk, you know, because we see all these celebrities talk, all these other things. Okay, great. But we're the regular Joes like myself and other people. Where can we share our stories? We look around, there's none really there. You have all these doctors doing all these things, all these different podcasts. Hats off to them. But what about the people that are the bread and butter of this country that just basically do everything? In any country you go to, all the people, the little people in the world, we're their space to talk. So this is basically what it is. I open this up to anybody to join the conversation. Like I said, I very rarely ever say no to someone unless I feel like your message is muddled, because the whole idea is that we're here to talk about a subject that clearly is an issue. No longer should we start shoveling this under the rug and say it doesn't exist, because it clearly exists and strongly exists ever since COVID came out. People have magnified it. They think it magnified, but I'm like, well, did it really, or did it really just open the door to people to realize that they had a lot more issues than they realized they had, and they started coming to the surface? Because when you're isolated, all these things start coming out about yourself, and you find out all these new things, and in a sense, ever since then, it's just been a great conversation. Now, we've had some shit moments in this show. Like, we've had people talk about some subjects that have just really dug deep on people. I think suicide ideation was the one that had the most response. We had a guy come on the show. He was sitting here talking to us. About 30 minutes in, he started talking about how his plan that morning was he had the gun in his hand at the edge of the bed, and he was considering taking his own life because he was teeter-tottering, because he was so choked up about his friend, he had lost his life the same way. I don't know if it was the same exact way, but he had unfortunately, suicide was a death for his friend too. And his friend had everything going for him, and that brought up the big conversation. Like, just because everybody looks like they have everything going for them doesn't mean they don't have problems going on in their head, what's going on upstairs, and the other one too is no, go ahead, Tim, sorry. No, you're good. Go for it, Tim.
There is a massive cost to not understanding what's going on inside a person. Yeah. Okay. Because we mistakenly think, and this has been my observation, we mistakenly think that the pain's the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. And what I found is that it doesn't matter if the pain's physical or emotional. It'll get to a certain intensity or duration where that transforms without the person even knowing it into loneliness, isolation. I'm the only one going through it.
Yeah.
And you mentioned this before, connection. For me, we're as powerful as we are connected.
Yeah.
Connected to ourselves, connected to people around us. Bring it on, right? But if I'm disconnected from other people, disconnected from myself, I'm looking for a way out, because this is painful. Yeah. Life is pain. And my energy levels are sinking. And if I could just speak to, and again, this was critical to this goal I had of helping people, not suicide, was understanding that breaking the isolation is one of the most critical factors to the healing journey. So someone realizing that they're not alone in this.
Yeah.
And what I would have is, what you're doing right now, we're having people share their stories. And then what I've noticed with pain and isolation, we have words we want to say, but we can't say them, and they become like rocks around our heart. And it's like, it's really hard to feel anything. And life becomes really hard when you've got all these rocks around your heart. Because you can't connect with anybody. And if anyone tries to get close to you, they bang up against the rocks. They don't want to do that too many times.
Yeah.
And eventually people start looking into the future and going, look, here's what I know. I know I'm in pain. I know all these rocks around my heart are causing pain to others. And if I look into my future, I can't see anything changing. And that's an honest assessment.
Yeah.
And then they say, well, I know what I'll do. I'll relieve the pain for me. I'll relieve the pain to you. I'm going to do everyone a favor if I remove myself from this situation. So suicide comes up like this really great option for people that are really hurting. I finally find a way to make it better.
Yeah.
And blokes are all about, I got to solve this problem. I'm obviously the problem. I'm going to solve it. And so simply sharing your journey through that particular pain, like my way into this was the veteran space, but whether it's breast cancer or, whatever it is, the golden question to ask, Pete, is when you're really hurting, ask this question. And this is what changed everything for me. Honestly, how many other people do you think are in this same situation right now?
Yeah.
Okay. It could be 5, 10, 10,000. I figured, where I was trying to get help in a medical system that didn't seem to understand or even care.
Yeah.
And I'm about to do something really dramatic, but then I said, look, how many other people are in this same situation? And that's when I saw him, Pete. I figured at least 1 million. And I encourage people, whatever you're going through, how many other people, give it a real number, at least 1 million, right? And so I saw 500,000 to my left, 500,000 to my right, and they were all earnestly willing me on, saying, Tim, if you can find a way forward for you, you can find a way forward for us.
Yeah.
You know, all we need, as normal human beings, all we need to know is to see another normal human showing us it's possible, and then possibly giving us a few options we didn't know about. You know, and that's when you connect to those people, you don't just break your isolation. You start seeing that I'm no longer, you know, 1 in a million. I'm 1 million in one.
Yeah.
So if I can make 1 inch, even if it's just an inch of progress, I'm making 1 million inches of progress. You know, if I make that appointment, if I seek that healer, if I look after my own physical body, that's 1 million people benefiting from this moment. You know, if all I had to do was do a 20-minute walk, you know, I felt like shit for the first 10-minute walking, but then really good for the last 10-minute walking, everything in my life is better. And having the knowledge that your value to other people isn't so much what you do, it's what you've gone through, you know, and all humans need is to have their isolation broken, knowing another regular human that has gotten through that.
Yeah.
And if I'm speaking to veterans, I use very plain language. I say, listen, you might not think you're special, but I bet you've been through some shit. Okay. And it's our job to turn that shit into fertilizer. And the stinkiest shit makes the best fertilizer. And, you know, it might take you a week, a month, a decade to make that transformation, but that's the amount of time you're going to save others. And imagine the power in that one conversation with you saving someone 10 years. And once you sort of flip that script and really see those people and see that, you know, all you have to do is make an inch and you've already made 1 million inches. I don't know how far that is, but the point is our power comes from our connection.
Yep.
Connection ourselves and others. And the ultimate form of disconnection is thinking that we're doing others a favor by removing ourselves.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I think it couldn't be said any better. I think you're 100% correct, you know. I really do. And you know, I think I don't really have anything else to say after that. I think you said all that could be said on that one, man. That was great. That was powerful. I loved it. That was awesome. So all right, guys.
Wasn't an easy lesson to learn either. Like,
oh, no.
I was literally about to kill a man in 2011, April. I'd reached rock bottom and my family was falling apart. Head was all over the place. And then I'm told, oh, you've got to see a psychologist. And that made no sense. I'm like, why do I want to see some stranger I don't trust?
Yeah.
And so anyway, I go there and this guy just wasn't incompetent. He was apathetic. And I tell him all the shit I saw in service in Afghanistan. And then at the end, he's like, oh, you think there's a problem with your mum and dad? The whole room froze, right? And I saw his glass frame psychology degree behind him. And I'm like, this guy needs to be removed because he is saying he's a healer, but he's actually hurting people. So in my state of disconnect, it made a lot of sense to remove this guy. And there's not a goddamn thing this guy could have done to stop me because I got a certain skill set and I get out of my chair to do it. Okay. Yeah. But it was at that moment where I'm about to kill this guy that I felt this hand on my chest and words to the effect of red flagged him. You know, you're the toughest guy, you know, and you're struggling in this medical system that doesn't understand and doesn't care. You know, how many other people are in this same situation? And when I sat back in my chair, that's when I saw those millions of people left and right of me, you know, and if you're, you know, willing me on saying, Tim, you've got to find a way forward for you so you can. And so I'm just going to pull people through the lens here. If you're getting anything from what I'm sharing here, Pete, well, you were there next to me, willing me on back in 2011. Because when we actually see this perspective, at some point in the future, there's going to be people saying, you know, we are so glad that back in 2025, you made certain decisions to keep moving forward because you've helped us move forward, with so much, ease and grace.
Yeah, it's very true. Very true. Well, guys, we're going to start wrapping up this episode of Pete versus Anxiety. Tim, thank you so much for coming, man. I really enjoyed this conversation. It was great. I loved having you for sure, man. Do you want to let people know where they can find you? What's the best way? Say they want to get a hold of Tim. What's the best way to get a hold of Tim?
Very easy. 3 words: breathwork in bed. If you want a good night's sleep tonight, simply download the Breathwork in Bed app. It is super simple. And turn your bed into a cloud as you go to sleep, but also turn it into a trampoline in the morning. Morning breath work before you get out of bed is an absolute game changer. So please reach out, breathwork in bed. But like I said, you can, if you've got a phone, smartphone, Android, you can download the app, tell it when you want to sleep, and then it just falls out of your phone whenever you want it. There's no charge to use it for the first 28 days. If I always think that if you care about people, you care about how they sleep. Mm-hmm. If you and conversely, if you want to destroy someone, destroy their sleep. So I really encourage everybody here to really tap into the power of their own sleep, because most people are busy enough, they're working hard enough, they're trying to squeeze the life out of the conscious waking hours. But if we can improve the unconscious hours, that's like improving the soil from which everything grows. So I'm really excited for people to tap into their own sovereign power. The high tech thing isn't the Breathwork in Bed app. It's you discovering just how amazing, your breath is. And you are.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Tim. I appreciate you being here, man. I really appreciate what you're doing. And guys, thank you so much for listening for this episode of Pete for Society. I'm Pete for Society. I'm pretty much on everything. X all the way down to TikTok. I'm on Spotify, all the way down to iHeartRadio, if that's how you feel like you want to listen. And it costs nothing, absolutely nothing to be kind to somebody. One kind act you could do could save someone's life, or hell, you can make their day. I'm Pete for Anxiety, saying, don't ask how your day is today. Say, hey, how's your